Okay, good morning, everybody who is on. I am going to introduce our presenter this morning. Our session that you are at right now is called What I Need to Be Doing as a Junior to Plan for College. And our presenter that is here with us is Dominique Williams. So she is going to tell us a little bit about herself, and then she's going to dive right in. If you have questions or things, go ahead and put them in the chat on the side, and we'll make sure at the end that we kind of have a moment to answer those questions for everybody. And thank you for being here. Dominique, go ahead.
Dominique, can you hear us? I wonder if we lost her connection. I can see her, but her picture's frozen.
Yeah, I'm wondering too, because she was moving.
Oh, there she is. Okay, there she is.
Oh,
okay. Perfect. Sorry.
Nope, that's okay. You are good to go.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yes, you are good.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about successfully planning for your college journey. So we're going to talk about a couple different factors. We're going to go over understanding the admission factors, exploring some college options within your financial plan. And then we're going to talk a little bit about developing a plan during COVID, because I know now people are a little bit discouraged to travel and to visit colleges. So we'll touch on that just a tad bit. So I always like to talk with students about why it's important for families to plan for college. Not all colleges are the same. Your journey is about what fits you. So you want to make sure that you're picking a college that definitely will shape who you're going to be and that you enjoy. And then you want to get the most out of college with a good strategy. So a couple of ways to figure out a good strategy. You want to answer 3 questions. What do you want? Where do you want to go? And then how are you going to get there? So when we talk about what do you want, what are you looking for in a college? What are some of those key factors that you'd like to see? Where do you want to go? Everybody has a list of some type of an idea of where they want to go to college. So start jotting down those schools. And then how are you going to get there? Let's create a plan for success to be able to navigate getting to college. Another question that's important for students to answer is college for me? Is it worth it? So a couple of key factors when we talk about college. Job opportunity is very important. College education prepares you for work, definitely opens the doors for better jobs and career advancement, provides a sense of work stability because you're prepared for work changes when things come, because college is all about change. And then more than likely, you're able to find reemployment faster. If you, let's say, lose a job, if you have a college degree, you can find reemployment. Higher income, you earn typically $20,000 more in yearly salary with a college degree than you do with a high school diploma. You have better health. People with college educations tend to live healthier lives and have better access to medical care because they typically have benefits with their employers. And then you're able to plan for the future. Just helps you earn more to be able to plan better with your family, because you'll one day have a family as well. So, understanding admission factors. We'll talk about academics, extracurricular activities, volunteer and work experience, and then some test scores. So, academics. How important is my GPA? So, as an admissions counselor, when I'm looking at high school transcripts, one of the first things colleges look at is your GPA. So you want to start studying and putting in the extra work to get your GPA a little bit higher. I know we're probably juniors right now or even some seniors, but it's never too late to try to get that extra boost in your GPA. While your GPA isn't everything in determining your future, it definitely can make or break your admissions and scholarship application results. So you want to make sure that you are kind of preparing to have those higher GPAs, I always tell students aiming for a 3.5 or higher should be your goal if you desire to attend a selective college. And when I say a selective college, I mean if you're very particular about the university or college that you want to attend, you want to make sure that you have a higher GPA so that you can kind of be in front of making the decisions and not the university. Look up admission requirements for schools of interest to set that goal. So right now you're juniors and you probably have a school in mind that you want to attend. See what the admission requirements are so that you can start aiming for that minimum GPA and try to get above it. So if their minimum GPA for acceptance is a 3.0, you want to try to get a higher than a 3.0, but at least you know that if I have a 3.0, I at least meet the minimum qualifications. Take challenging college prep courses to demonstrate your desire to be successful in your college endeavors. So we'll talk about some of those college course options if they're available to you. Colleges look at weighted and unweighted GPAs. So an unweighted GPA assigns courses a 4.0 for A's, 3.0 for B's, 2.0 for C's, 1.0 for D's. So there's no distinction typically between a 90 and 100. They're both a 4.0. And typically colleges will recalculate GPAs when they're doing GPA calculations. And then a weighted GPA gives extra points for those challenging AP courses or honors courses. So if you get an A, be a 5.0. So a couple of examples, like at GCU, we require a minimum of a 3.0 GPA for acceptance, and it has to be unweighted, but we will allow your weighted GPA considered for scholarship. So you want to make sure you know what the colleges are looking for if they're calculating weighted or unweighted GPA and how they determine that information. So when you look at course selection, you have a couple of different college options. You have advanced placement, you have dual enrollment. Both offer college credit. Both are weighted on a 5-point scale rather than the traditional 4-point scale. So the AP program offers some college level courses for high school students, and it prepares them for the AP exam. If you score high enough on the AP exam, you may qualify for college credit or have the opportunity to take advanced courses as a college freshman. There is no guarantee that a college will accept AP credit. So I always tell students, if you take the AP classes and tests, make sure that you're trying to make sure that you know if the college will accept that credit, because not all colleges will accept AP credits, and it just depends on the AP classes that you're taking. And if they do accept them, they may not come over as that particular class. So like, for example, higher level AP science classes at GCU, we typically reward those as an elective credit because we need our students to take our science classes with us. So that's something that I always try to tell students when they're thinking about taking some AP classes. Dual enrollment classes replace high school classes. The grades are included on the high school and college transcript, and then those classes allow students to earn college credit if they pass the class with a C or better. Test scores, ACT versus SAT. So I want to kind of break down a myth. I have heard a lot of students saying, oh, testing is going away. We're not accepting, schools aren't accepting tests anymore because of COVID, tests are going away. This is not true for all schools. Not every school has done away with ACT and SAT tests. And also those schools that have become choice tests, meaning they don't necessarily require the test right now, but they're giving students the option. Those tests, if you decide to take them, can still benefit you in the admissions process. So for a GCU, if a student has taken their ACT versus SAT, if their test score is higher than their GPA, we'll utilize their test score for scholarship. So I try to tell students that just because you're hearing that the ACT and the SAT are no longer being used for testing because of current situations right now, that is not true. So you want to just make sure you're looking at the school. Each school is different. No test is easier than the other. You have to take the test that best fits your abilities. So I would always recommend you try taking a timed practice test of both tests to see which best fits your abilities. So you may not be very good in science, and so the ACT may not be a good test for you, but I would just say take it, a practice exam, just to see. Both tests are accepted by nearly all universities and they're given equal weight. So we don't look at a test and say, oh my goodness, this student took the SAT and this student took the ACT. We're going to take the student that took the SAT. We never do that. We look at both tests equally. If you took the ACT versus SAT, great. We'll look at both of those tests. Taking the test your sophomore year allows you to have more time for adjustments. If you have not yet taken it, it's okay. Just try to take it on the next test date, or just start taking some practice exams. Learn some test taking strategies. So each test has a book that you can study. So ACT has a study test prep book, and so does College Board for the SAT. I recommend getting the test prep books from the respective websites. So get the ACT book from ACT and get the SAT test prep book from College Board. And you can get them at Barnes & Noble. You can even order them on Amazon. But I recommend getting the ACT one, so not some of the other, I know Kaplan has one, and Princeton has one. I would recommend getting the one from the actual test makers. And then a high school does not guarantee admissibility into the college of your choice. There are other factors, or a high test score. There are other factors considered, and the score needs to match your GPA. So some schools will say, oh, your GPA is a 3.7, but your test score is a 16. Can you kind of write an essay or tell us what happened there? How's your GPA so high, but your test score so low? Or the opposite, your GPA is a 2.7, but your test score is a 35. How is your test score so high, but your GPA so low? So some schools will ask for additional essays if that happens, or some additional documentation. Extracurricular activities. So extracurricular activities are so important. They do have some benefits. They improve your academic performance. They have health benefits, community benefits, because you're a little bit more involved in the community. Definitely college benefits, because when we're looking at college applications, we want students on campus that are going to get involved and that are going to make an impact in the university. Professional benefits, because you can put that on your resume. As a high school student, you may not have a job right now, but if you have some athletic or even extracurricular activities on your resume, it just shows that you are committed to something and that you have knowledge of what commitment means and what that looks like. Developing a richer perspective of the world we live in, because you typically are around people that are not like you. So you have a little bit more experience and different perspectives. Connect what you learn in school to the real world, and then personal satisfaction. If you're happy, then that typically makes you happy on the inside and it glows on the outside. So shows longevity. You definitely stick with one type of activity rather than joining a new activity every week. So that's something good that schools like to see. Definitely passion. You truly care about what you're doing, and then leadership, because a lot of students typically tend to become some sense of a leader. You may not be considered the president of an extracurricular activity, but I'm pretty sure you've had to make a decision in some sense regarding the extracurricular activity. Volunteer and work experience also have benefits, personal development benefits. You just explore interests and create broader perspectives. Higher self-esteem, definitely some social opportunities, productive breaks, essential life skills, something to add to your resume, and then something also to add to your university applications. So volunteer and work experience is also important when you're applying for college. If you don't have it, it's okay. But definitely, especially if you're not working, definitely try to volunteer, talk with your counselors and see if they have opportunities at school or if they know of any opportunities for you. So exploring college options. This is my favorite thing that I love to talk to students about. We'll talk about admissibility, types of colleges, a college important list, and then how to pay for college. So when we look at the different types of colleges, we're looking at community colleges versus public universities versus private universities. So let's talk a little bit about those differences. So community colleges are primarily two-year public institutions. They have certificates, diplomas, associate degrees. Some of them are now offering bachelor's degrees. And then we also call them junior colleges, technical colleges, or city colleges. These colleges are typically for students that may not be ready to commit to a four-year university and may want to stay home and get their basics out of the way and then transfer to a university later. There's nothing wrong with attending a community college. Public universities and colleges are funded by the local and state government. They typically have lower tuition rates in state. So these would be colleges like your UTs, your Texas Techs, your Texas A&Ms. They're typically a little bit more affordable for families in state. Then you have your private colleges and universities. They're funded by tuition. So the schools mainly get their money from students that pay tuition. That they have fees other than private sources, they have higher costs, and they offer significant discounts for almost all students. So I always tell students, don't shy away from out-of-state or private universities. Just find out what money they offer for students that are out of state, or what types of money they offer for students with your GPA and your test score. So there are lots of benefits to attending school out of state and private universities as well. Just find out if it is affordable for you and what kind of discounts they offer for students. So, college list. These are some questions that I tell students to ask themselves when they're looking at a college. I always tell students to make a list of juniors. I always say 5 or 10 schools that you're really, really, really interested in, and then start doing the research on those schools, and then you can kind of slowly check off the list. And later, if you need to add a school, then you can. So here's the college list. Do you meet admissibility? If you have a school that requires a 3.8 admissibility and your GPA is a 3.5, I don't necessarily try to discourage students from reaching their dreams, but I try to be realistic with students. You don't want to get to a position where you're applying for a school and then you get denied and then you spend months depressed and sad and upset because you didn't meet the admissibility requirements. So let's make this process a fun process for you. Let's look at schools that you know you're a good fit for. Because if you go to a school where you don't meet the admissibility and you get in, you may not enjoy your experience. So I always try to get students to consider this a fun experience and not something that seems unattainable. So do you meet admissibility? Are scholarships offered with your GPA? So if you have a 3.5 GPA, do the schools offer scholarships for a 3.5 GPA? Go to a school or look at schools that will give you money for the hard work that you've done. Going to high school is work. So try to find schools that will reward you for that work. Does the school offer your major? So if you want to be an architect and the school doesn't offer architecture, I would not select that school because you're not going to be able to be an architect without an architecture degree. Does the school offer Greek life? This is an important question because not all schools offer Greek life, and I know there are students that want to be a part of Greek life. So you want to make sure that if there are any clubs that you want to be a part of, that the school has those clubs. Is this college or university affordable? I always ask students, is it affordable before financial aid? Of course, no school is really affordable before financial aid, but is it with your scholarships semi-affordable, or can your parents see themselves helping to pay some of those out-of-pocket expenses? Does the school offer residence life? Do you want to live on campus? Residence life is important if you do. Do you want to go out of state? And then what is an ideal school size? So the school size is definitely important for students as well. So applying to college, you have a couple of different types of applications. You have your Common App. It's one application sent to multiple schools, and it's accepted by over 450 schools. Then you have your Apply Texas. It's very similar to the Common App, but it allows students to apply to all universities, to state universities and some of the private schools here in Texas. And then you have your college-specific apps. A lot of colleges and universities have their own application that can be submitted online through the school's admissions site. And then some of the questions are very similar to the Apply Texas and Common App questions, but they may have a little bit more differences that can be significant to you. And they're a lot shorter. So For GCU, we're not on the Common App or Apply Texas. We have our own application, and it takes about 15 minutes. So you just have to make sure that you know which school, the schools that you're applying to, which application that they accept so that you can save time. So if all of them accept the Common App, then I would definitely complete the Common App. Plan your process, your application process, make a calendar. So schedule time to prepare and complete your applications. So you want to make sure you have a calendar that shows your deadlines for your applications so you don't miss them. If you don't plan this, it's easy to forget it. Create a checklist of tasks. So what do you need for the application? What is the application requiring? Ask for help. Your high school counselors, your college counselors, your parents, people are looking to help you. You just have to ask. Apply online if possible. So if the school allows you to apply online, then go ahead and apply online. Draft and proof your essays. So if you have to write a college essay for the application, make sure that you are drafting that early. Make sure that you're asking your teachers or your counselor to look at it. Do not wait to the last minute, a week before the application and ask your counselor, hey, can you read this essay for me? It's too late. They're really busy. They have a lot of students. You want to make sure that you're asking in advance so that they have time to adequately read and give you quality feedback. Have someone review it ahead of time. Keep a copy and get confirmation, and then include any required payments. So I always tell students to keep a copy because you never know if something gets lost or if you uploaded a file document and maybe it didn't translate over to the school properly. Maybe it came over in a different format and they need you to send another copy. It's always good to have an extra copy. And then developing a financial plan. Couple different ways to pay for college. You have FAFSA, scholarships, outside scholarships, and then some cash. We won't go into this in depth, but I always tell students savings is very important. So begin saving for college early. Parents and students need to start saving. Students, you need to start saving because when you get on campus, there are college expenses. You're going to want to go out. You're going to want to have fun. You're going to want to go to different food places that may not be on campus. You're going to want to have some fun. And if your parents are paying for college, the least you could do is pay for some of those extracurricular fun activities. Scholarships, look for scholarships through your state or college, as well as national and community organizations. So institutional versus private scholarships. There's some state aid out there available if you stay in state. There's student loans available, and then there's grants, which is free money that you don't have to pay back. So you have your scholarships, which include institutional funding from the university, and then your private third-party scholarships that are outside scholarships. You have your federal financial aid that include grants, loans, and work study, and then you have some private loan options. So we'll skip some of this information. Okay, so let's sum it up. Money, acceptance, there's no place like home, and then your major. So choosing the right school for you. 4 easy ways to kind of narrow down your search. Where did you get accepted? So apply to schools where you meet the academic requirements and focus on those schools. Who offered you the most money? This is very important for you when you return year over year to college. So year over year, college is expensive. If your out-of-pocket is $10,000 your freshman year, it's probably going to be $10,000 every other year, or at least anticipate that. So I always tell students you want to see who's offering you the most money and then break it all the way down and have a budget to see if that's affordable for you. Which school has your major? If it doesn't have your major, don't waver. Which school feels like home? Visit the campus. This will definitely help you narrow down your options very quickly because you can kind of feel if you'll be a part of the campus once you get on campus. So high school in the world of COVID have a couple of different things going on here. You have some online learning, some blended learning, and some on-campus learning. Make the most out of either kind of learning opportunity that you're in. I always tell students, just make the most out of the opportunities. Your juniors, your seniors, you just want to try to, even though may not be as much of a happy time as you would like for it, or may not be the normal, just make the best out of it. Virtual tours. Some institutions are offering campus tours on a family basis, meaning you can go onto the campus. Many institutions have their own virtual tours and appointments via their website. A few institutions have gotten very creative and they're offering car campus tours where you drive through the campus in your car, and they have a Zoom link that you set up and they do the tour that way. And then here are some websites that allow you to tour campuses and compare institutions. So you can kind of look at the colleges that you may be interested in and kind of cross compare them to see which colleges you want to visit and tour. I definitely recommend visiting a college campus before deciding to attend that college. It's very, very, very important. Virtual college fairs. Hundreds of colleges and university representatives will be available to talk to students. So we've done quite a few go-to college fairs this year. I definitely recommend you logging onto those sites, looking at the booths that are there, the universities. We are, as college counselors, on the other side of the screen, just waiting for you to chat with us. So create an itinerary by selecting different colleges that you're interested in, and then attend those live and interactive Zoom sessions that they offer. You can also meet one-on-one virtually with college admissions reps. So there are over 150 college admissions reps here in the Dallas area from schools all over. So you just want to make sure that you are trying to get connected to the college reps. ACT and SAT, how will I take my college entrance exam? SAT registration is open to all students. They have a couple of registration dates that are still available, and then they're going to announce their spring dates. They are having social distancing, must have your PPE. They do not provide your PPE, and then they also are doing COVID screening to make sure that it's safe. And then ACT has a ton of test dates available. Okay, do we have any questions? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay.
If you have any questions for Dominique, you can type them in the side. The other thing was I saw some people joined a little bit into the video. These will all be available after. So if you missed some information at the beginning, we will download this whole video and post it on our counseling website. And the other thing is, if you missed the beginning, she's going to do this same session again at 10:30. So if you missed the beginning of it, you can join us for that session also. Looks like we have a couple questions maybe coming in.
Okay. Yes, I can. So as a junior, this is where you should be. You should have a list of schools that you would like to apply to, and you should start looking at their admissions requirements. And then you should also start seeing when they accept their college applications. So when can you start applying as a junior, or as a senior, what are your college dates? So you should have a spreadsheet, name of college, when the application opens, the college deadline, and then some of those other touch points that I talked about, like the admission requirements. Even though you're a junior, you need to start ensuring that you know what schools are requiring to get into the college. Because if you wait until your senior year, you may not be adequately prepared. So if they require a 3.5 and let's say you have a 3.4, you're still able to boost your GPA. So you want to start looking at all of the factors required in getting into the college of your choice. And you also want to start doing college visits. So I think a lot of students try to wait until their senior year to do college visits. Start doing your college visits now so that you can narrow down your search. And if you haven't taken SAT or ACT, I would definitely start taking those tests, because we're in COVID now, but we may not be next year. So those schools may go back to requiring ACT and SAT tests. So you should be actively looking at colleges, making your list, and narrowing down your searches. By your senior year, you should have kind of by August of your senior year, you should have your top 3 or 4 schools, and you should just be trying to narrow down which one of those schools will be the top choice. Does that answer your question, Becky? And if you guys need help with that, you can always reach out to me. I help students kind of prepare their list of colleges and kind of what they should be aiming for, and how to research on a college website what that actually means, and where they should be looking on the website. Virginia, I do. So there are schools that are open for on-campus visits. You just have to call the school directly because they may not be doing large tour visits. So they may do smaller tour visits or only one family at a time. So I would just reach out to each school individually and ask, are you guys accepting visitors on campus, and are you doing school tours? So they may not do the large tours, but a lot of schools are doing visits. They're just not doing, the large events. Does that make sense? And definitely in the spring. So even if schools aren't open in the fall, definitely in the spring, we're praying that there's a little bit more flexibility in being able to have more visitors on campus. Like we're open right now for visitors. And there are quite a few Texas schools that are open for visitors too, but it's only on a family by family basis, not a large group event.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for Dominique? If not, I'm going to read off our next list of sessions so that you can kind of think about what you want to do for the next session, which starts at 9:45. Awesome. Perfect. Okay, so the next group of sessions, and I'll tell you which one Dominique is doing next also, and I'm not sure if she's kind of covering the same info or not, but we'll ask her. The next group of sessions starting at 9:45, there is a What I Wish I Knew course. There is one called Texas On course. The one that Dominique will be doing is called Transitioning from High School to College. There is one that highlights the TCC Honor Society. I've been accepted, now what? There is a Financial Aid 101. There's one called Choosing the Right College. There is a TCC admissions and the TSI testing. There's one that is on the NCAA guidelines. There's a Military 101, and the last one is TCC certifications. So as you're looking at what session you want to do next, you can go back to that web page on the counseling page and click on another link, or you can stay on this one with us. But go ahead and start looking at what session you want to go to next at 9:45. And thank you, Dominique, for all of that information.
Thank you.